Welcome back. You are watching We On Wild is One. Thank you for joining us at this hour. I'm Eric Njoka. Time now for Pulse. The headlines. Earthquake compounds Myanmar's humanitarian crisis as death toll passes 2,000, more than 3,900 injured and over 270 others missing as hope to rescue survivors fades. Bangladesh's interim government advisor Mohammed Yunus provokes India in a bid to placate China, says 7 states of India are landlocked, asks Beijing to make an extension. Elon Musk calls French court ruling barring far-right leader Marine Le Pen from running for election in 2027 an abuse, says it will backfire like the legal attacks against President Trump. At least 17 Tesla cars destroyed in a fire at a company dealership in Rome. The city's fire service says it did not rule out arson. Police reviewing surveillance footage. Three of 4 U.S. soldiers missing in Lithuania since last week found dead, says the U.S. Army. Rescuers recover armored vehicle from a swamp. Search operations continue for the 4th soldier. Thousands of Palestinians flee Rafah. This follows Israel orders the largest evacuation in that area in the southern Gaza Strip. The Indian Meteorological Department warns of an exceptionally hot summer ahead. The forecast indicates above normal temperatures and an increased number of heatwave days across several parts of the country from April to June. Greenpeace activists set up fishing nets, hold flares to denounce massive destruction of the seabed on the sidelines of SOS Ocean Summit in Paris.
Welcome back. It's 12:22. Denmark says it wants to work with the U.S. to secure Greenland, but the new government in Greenland says not so fast. Greg Palcott has more from London.
Status quo is not an option.
After weeks of protest and criticism of President Trump's push for the U.S. to acquire Greenland, the Danish government is offering an olive branch. Denmark's foreign minister suggested the U.S. expand its military footprint in the territory instead of taking it over entirely. It comes after Vice President J.D. Vance visited an American base there and criticized Denmark for not keeping up with Greenland's security needs.
It offers ample opportunity for the United States to have a much stronger military presence in Greenland. If that is what you wish, then let us discuss it.
But in both Greenland and Denmark, sentiment is turning against the U.S. And Greenland's new prime minister issued a blunt response to President Trump after he refused to rule out the use of military force, saying, quote, "We do not belong to anyone else."
We can see how the population has reacted. We can see what insecurity it has created.
Despite the opposition, the president is still moving ahead with his plans, claiming it's a national security priority.
We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can.
But some Republican lawmakers say the rhetoric is just Trump's way of trying to make a deal.
What I think the president is going to do is look to make some sort of accommodation with Denmark and Greenland with regard to how we can improve the security there.
President Trump says that Secretary of State Marco Rubio will likely be the next high-profile American official to visit Greenland. It's not clear, though, when that will be. In London.
After helping a paralyzed man play online chess by using his thoughts, Elon Musk's neuroscience startup Neuralink is now aiming to restore vision in individuals who are blind. The startup has announced that it is now all set to implant its first vision chip in a human by the end of this year. The new vision chip is called BlindSight. Neuralink's technology, which aims to restore vision by surgically placing a microelectrode in the brain's visual cortex. The visual cortex is the part of the brain that is responsible for receiving and interpreting visual input from the retina. The array has been designed specifically to stimulate neurons, which will then help the brain generate a visual image. Musk claims that the implant has the potential to give sight to individuals who are blind, even those with damage to their eyes and optic nerve. And that's as long as the visual cortex is functional. If successful, this technology could allow people who have been blind since birth to see.
And we're hoping later this year to do our first device implant for human enabling someone who is completely blind to see. It's going to be low res at first, like Atari graphics, so I want to set expectations appropriately.
Interestingly, BlindSight might also allow users to perceive wavelengths beyond the visible range, like infrared, ultraviolet, or even radar. The BlindSight implant was granted breakthrough device designation by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in 2024.
I was stuck under debris. I got hit to my waist and my hand got chopped. It took many hours for rescuers to pull me out as my hand was pulled slowly out of the rubble. Then things fell down on me just after I got out. I was lucky. I have been removing the debris on my own. No one has helped me yet. I have to manage myself to remove the rubble as my shop was a high building and the wreckage could be dangerous to the neighbours. I have to hire a bulldozer to clear the mess. I have to pay 20 gallons of fuel to the driver for 1 hour. I am on my own to do cleaning as no one is helping me yet.
South Africa has been named as the world's most dangerous country to drive in. This is among 53 countries. The country has got a safety ranking of 3.4 out of 10. Now, according to a report by online driver education resource, South Africa, Thailand and the US have been ranked as the most dangerous. The report, compiled by Zutobi, a US-based researcher, creates a rating system based on estimated number of road deaths using Global Health Observatory data, as well as seatbelt usage rate, alcohol-related fatalities at maximum speed limits. India is ranked 49th, making it the 5th worst country to drive in, while the US is ranked 51st. The world's safest countries to drive are Norway, Iceland and Japan. The study also showed that South Africa also has the highest number of alcohol-related road traffic deaths at 57.5%. In fact, report suggests in 2024 alone, more than 10,000 people died on South African roads. Drawing a comparison with Norway, the research says despite both countries having a motorway speed limit of 120 kilometers per hour, South Africa struggles with low seat belt usage. Compared to Norway's 97.8%, only 31% of front seat passengers buckle up in South Africa. These statistics highlight critical areas of improvement in road safety and driver behavior in the country. The factors analyzed revealed an estimated 24.5 road traffic deaths per 100,000 of the population in South Africa.
All right. Let's take a look at Wall Street. You can see in the lower bottom of your screen there, this is all ahead of President Trump's new tariffs, which take effect this week. They include a 25% import tax on most foreign-made vehicles and auto parts. It comes as a new CBS News poll, shows more than half of Americans believe the president is not focusing enough on lowering prices. Natalie Brand has a look now at those new tariffs.
Some shoppers spent the weekend test driving cars looking for a deal before a 25% tariff on foreign vehicles and auto parts takes effect later this week.
This is just creating confusion and apprehension in the market, and that's not good for our industry.
The Trump administration maintains tariffs will spur manufacturing at home, bringing more auto jobs back to the U.S. Sean Fain, president of the United Auto Workers Union, praised the move.
There is plenty of opportunity for these companies to do the right thing and bring work back here overnight, just as quick as they shipped it out of here.
The planned auto tariffs are in addition to reciprocal tariffs that President Trump is set to announce Wednesday on countries that impose duties on U.S. exports. A new CBS News poll finds most Americans believe the president is focused too much on tariffs, not enough on lowering prices. In the poll, only around a quarter of Americans say the president's policies are making them financially better off. The survey also shows the president's approval rating at 50% as he talks about a third term, which is currently barred by the Constitution.
I have had more people say, please run again. They said, we have a long way to go before we even think about that.
The 22nd Amendment, added in 1951, prohibits a president from serving more than 2 terms. Natalie
Barton with all countries.
President Donald Trump now says reciprocal tariffs he plans to unveil Wednesday are on the table for all nations. That's after the Treasury Secretary told Fox Business earlier this month the focus was on those with the largest trade deficits. Trump also now says any deal related to the duties will come after they begin.
The tariffs will be far more generous than those countries were to us.
Meanwhile, 25% tariffs on imported vehicles are scheduled to start Thursday. Duties on parts are set to follow.
Most likely prices are going to go up by a few $1,000s at least, but it would vary from brand to brand and maybe even from model to model.
Trump says he, quote, couldn't care less if car prices rise so long as more manufacturing comes to the U.S. Analysts say a major supply chain shift would take years. In the meantime, U.S. companies would have to pay the tariffs. Economists say that likely would raise prices for consumers.
You can't overrule the laws of economics with an executive order any more than you can overrule the laws of gravity.
Experts say those laws of economics apply to more than just cars. They predict Trump's other tariffs also will raise prices and lower demand.
When you combine that lesser demand with what we're seeing in the decline of consumer investor confidence, you could well see a slowing of the economy.
It took nearly a week, but 3 of the 4 soldiers have been found dead at the site. Their identities are being withheld pending notification of next of kin. This is according to the U.S. Army. They had gone missing last Tuesday in the early hours of March 25th in their M88 Hercules armored recovery vehicle while conducting a mission to repair and tow a tactical vehicle. A day later, their own vehicle was found submerged in a swamp 5 meters below water in the training area. That vehicle, by the way, is used for battlefield rescue and recovery missions. Now, again, according to this statement from the U.S. Army, it was a 6-day-long effort that required tremendous resources. Hundreds of service members from the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, the Lithuanian and Polish armed forces as well. The statement goes on to say, and I quote, they maneuvered through thick layers of mud, clay and sediment with zero visibility to reach the vehicle. It's certainly not unusual for the U.S. military to conduct training missions there. Lithuania, after all, is a NATO country. The Lithuanian president offered his condolences, posting on X that the search and rescue operation will continue until the 4th soldier is found. The soldiers were all from the 1st Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division, which is based in Fort Stewart, Georgia.
It's disappointed in a certain way. Some of the things that were said over the last day or two having to do with Zelensky, because when he considers Zelensky not credible, he's supposed to be making a deal with them, whether you like them or you don't like them. So I wasn't happy with that.
President Donald Trump is uncharacteristically upset with Russian President Vladimir Putin after he refused to accept a U.S.-Ukraine minerals deal in negotiations to end the war. Putin instead called for the installation of a UN-run government and for Ukraine to run elections for new leadership. Trump reportedly told NBC News he was, quote, pissed off at Russia's suggestion. Trump indicated the change in Ukrainian leadership would not be heading in the right direction for peace. Trump says, quote, if Russia and I are unable to make a deal on stopping the bloodshed in Ukraine, and if I think it was Russia's fault, which it might not be, but if I think it was Russia's fault, I'm going to put secondary tariffs on all oil coming out of Russia. Trump threatened 50% tariffs on countries who buy Russian oil if Putin did not agree to a ceasefire.
All secondary tariffs are very strong because essentially it says if you disobey our orders, you cannot do business in the United States of America. And that's the cash cow.
Zelensky was previously ready to sign a minerals deal with the United States, but the Trump administration has sent Zelensky a new draft that reinstates provisions essentially giving the United States total control of the minerals and is even more onerous than the original proposal.